Hey everybody, this is Ross and welcome to another Morning Manna. It's a late manna, so I apologize on that one, but I have something good to share with you. So here it is, January 20th of 2023. I'm going to give you a verse out of the book of Hebrews chapter 12, and then I'm going to share with you some thoughts out of the book I started reading called Gun Lap. And pretty powerful already, just in the introduction, some great thoughts. And basically, it's going to, from what I can foretell on this book, it's going to basically talk about how we run our race, if we're going to run this race well, and if we're going to finish strong. And I think that's the premise based upon Gun Lap. And based upon the dedication of the book, it's dedicated to a young man who didn't live to be very old. He was only 20 years old. But his dad, eulogizing him at his memorial service, made a powerful statement about running the race well. So, Hebrews 12:1. Therefore we also, since we're surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily besets us or ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. So, a good focus for us as we enter this weekend with this manna in mind is we only have one life to live. We don't get to choose when we were born, who we were born to, the circumstances of our birth, economically, socially, or otherwise. But what we do is basically carpe diem with every moment of life, right? We seize it and we live it to its fullest. We are, as we talked about earlier in Mannas this week, going to have adversarial things come against us, whether it's people, whether it's circumstances, whether it's situations, whether it's just basic problems. I remember when my wife had the car wreck a few years back, nothing you choose. Thank God she was fine, but the car was totaled. That just presents a whole different, right, paradigm in life to deal with, and how things shift around without our permission, so to speak. And we don't get permission on a lot of life. Life dictates what comes next. But the idea here is today, in light of this verse in Hebrews 12, is just to run it well, to take what you've been given and do the best with it. Remember the adage or the proverb, right? When life gives you lemons, make some lemonade. And so make the best of the worst, right? Realize life is not fair. I'm dealing with that when I teach on Sunday nights in the book of Proverbs. So tune into those lessons if you want. They're on YouTube here as well. But yeah, take what you can get and keep going, right? Don't quit on the process. That's such a key thought. So here's what the young man, Nick Challies, like I said, he lived for 20 years total. Not a very long life. But I like what his father said. His father said a couple things. First of all, in the eulogy for his son at the memorial service, he says, it's God's business to determine how long we run the race. It's our business to determine how well we run the race. I thought, man, that's powerful. We don't get to choose how long we're on this earth. None of us have a clue. We really don't. Man, you walk into a cemetery and everybody's life is just basically a dash. A starting date, and then there's a dash, and there's an ending date. But that dash has a lot in it, right? So I just want to encourage you, as I'm encouraging myself and anybody else that wants to watch this video, if you choose to share this with some others, is that just run it well, because you don't know how long you have. To finalize today's little manna, I want to give you a quote that's found later on in the introduction of this, or actually the dedication of this book that I'm reading. It's a thought from J.I. Packer. I'm not sure who Packer is. It sounds like he may be a preacher from days gone by, but I'm not sure. But it says, J.I. Packer was a man who ran a very long race, so apparently he lived a long life. And he once said this, my contention is that we should aim to be found running the last lap of our race, of our Christian life, as we should say, flat out, the final sprint. So I urge you, take that final sprint and sprint till the end. So I want to share with you what I did years ago. Man, it's been 12 years ago. I've run one 5K. Not that I didn't want to run more, but my knees aren't letting me do a whole lot of running at all anyway. So that is neither here nor there. It's just the way it works out. But I trained for my 5K, and I basically took ideas on how to get myself to have better endurance and to run faster, because I was preparing for this race. Now, 100 people ran this 5K with me. It was over in Tennessee. I can't remember what little small town in Tennessee I ran this 5K in. But I remember training, and the first time I timed myself, after I'd been training for about 2 months, I timed myself. And the first time is 31 minutes, and I'm like, ugh, because the average of a 5K is 30 minutes. So 2 weeks later, I timed myself again. I got it down to 29. 2 weeks later, I got it down to 27. And then 2 weeks after the 27 time was when the race was going to happen. So I thought, I've already taken 4 minutes off my time based upon my training and just building up physically to run this thing. I ran that 5K that day, and I did it in 23 minutes and 31 seconds, almost 4 minutes better than my previous time 2 weeks earlier. What was fun, though, was, and my mom taught me this because my mom was actually a runner in high school, and she said, Ross, when you get towards the end, give it that runner's kick and just give it everything you have till you get across the line. And that's what I did that day, and I actually passed 3 people up in the last quarter mile of that 5K, and I came in 10th out of 100 people. Now, why am I telling you that? We ought to treat every day as it's the last. We ought to live every moment as if it's the last and do the best with it. Run hard, run strong, and don't quit. So that's the manna for today. Hope it's a blessing. Have a great day.